My name is Admiral Mark Sakato, and I am Commander of Navy Region Northwest. I, on behalf of the Secretary of the Navy, apologized for a bombardment of Angoon on October 26, 1882 by naval forces. In 1882, the Navy, at the behest of the Northwest Trading Company, bombarded the village of Angoon over what it presented as hostile acts by the village. And when they bombarded it, a Tlingit shaman from Angoon had been killed during a whaling expedition. And under Tlingit custom and law, they had come to ask for compensation for his death. Northwest Trading Company refused. And then when they felt they perceived, according to their records, threatened by the Angoon Tlingits, they went to the Navy, who then sailed to Angoon and presented a arbitrary demand for 400 blankets. And then when that demand was not met, shelled the village and then sent forces ashore to set fire to shelter, stores, cultural objects. As a result of that attack and firing, at least 6 children were killed, and any number of Tlingit died of starvation in the following winter, as well as an irreplaceable loss of artifacts, cultural artifacts, to include bowls, canoes, canoe prows, which were cultural objects. Clan chief hats were destroyed. Really an irreplaceable catch of cultural objects, which is particularly acute for Tlingit culture because those objects are believed to be imbued with spirits themselves, and through interaction with those objects, they feel in tune with their ancestors and forefathers. The kui we attended was divided to a mourning period, of which the apology was part of, and then a subsequent celebratory period. In the mourning period, it featured visible emotion. You could see the tension, the emotion on people's faces. It was challenging.
I'm Johnny Hunter, and I'm a sophomore, and I'm attending Angoon High School, and that's where my people are from. Kind of proud that our people have been able to do this, and they got the apology that was needed. We would tell them that we made it, and that everything they did wasn't for nothing. Even if they weren't able to get it accomplished, it was still their work that got it accomplished. And always try to learn new stuff about your culture or learn your heritage, like where you're from and what your people do. Keep on doing it, like living off the land, and that's what we do in Angoon. We go fishing and hunting and stuff. We're resourceful of the land, like our elders were. They were all very nice, and they all talked to us and said what needed to be said. They were involved with the apology. They danced and stuff, and they performed for us, and not just once, but they performed twice.
It's been 142 years since the initial bombing, which was in 1882. Feels like something that was never really going to happen. There's been efforts to sort of seek sort of reconciliation or apology, at least, because so far it's just been the apology. It just happened. So it still feels surreal, you know? It's like I feel really happy, especially when I was dancing the clan hats. My grandma being from the clan house that had the last boat that was out fishing when the village was bombed, to sort of pick up the responsibility to save as much food. You just really wish that they were there. And I suppose you could say that because, you know, I'm a product of both of them. And that also feels really heavy.
I got to be a standby participant invited by the clan leaders because they also knew that I was a direct descendant of Tish Twain, the shaman that was killed accidentally. All of the trauma that has been passed down generation to generation to generation, and it allows us to begin to heal, and it follows the protocols and the way of life that our people are so rich and so knowledgeable in holding each other up. As we heal, the generations after us will not be affected by the trauma. People have been used by Western society, and how our people, along with many other indigenous people in the United States, were they were so receptive to people, to helping them, and to also teach them how to survive in where we lived. And that's so relevant to the other indigenous nations throughout the United States and their area, and gaining knowledge of the people in those areas as well. But as to Tis playing the medicine man, he was working on that ship, and that he was a medicine man who, in his knowledge, helped our people during those times. And I think about the knowledge that was lost from him. It was the sign of mourning, and the ku'i that's held, and was held specifically for the accepting of the apology, because there were children from the killer whale that were lost. It was the first time in my lifetime that I've seen where the eagles and the ravens were seated. When we go from that time of mourning to the happy times, when we wipe away the grief and someone from your opposite comes to remove the marks, that's the tides turning. Have courage, have strength. Ikuayachan is the term that we always hear at these events, and when we are putting our loved ones to rest. Have strength and courage. We are a courageous people.
It was a Deshitan morning song where in our potlatches we tend to have this sort of balance of a ceremony where one side does something and the other does something, and so it kind of balances itself out because Tlingit culture is very much rooted in balance. I think the whole situation of Pete Klein being killed under the supervision of this whaling company, all because Western people don't want to honor that way of life, which is unfortunate because it's a pretty beautiful way of taking care of each other.
From the beginning, once the Navy decided to apologize, our objective was to do so in a culturally appropriate manner under Tlingit custom and law, but also in a way designed to support their healing. Put in a much more modern way, it wasn't about us, it was about them. The Navy hopes through this apology, which we view as a beginning of our relationship with Angoon, that we can help that community and its members begin their healing process. It's a significant thing, and we certainly don't think it'll occur overnight, but we hope that we have helped them to get a good start on it, and we do intend to continue to remain involved with Angoon.
I feel like being Indigenous has sort of given me a sort of pessimism about these types of things. While they're apologizing and honoring us in this moment, there's Indigenous people in other countries that are also being bombed, children. Although I feel really good about this moment, I don't feel like we have the sovereignty and agency that we deserve as Indigenous people. I mean, all around the world, Indigenous people